Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Adam.
And I'm Julia. It's really nice to have you here with us again.
If you've been listening from the beginning, you might notice something.
Each episode is moving very gently
Very naturally.
from one human skill to another.
In episode 1, we talked about silence and how to feel okay when the conversation gets quiet.
In episode 2, we talked about feelings and how to express them simply and honestly.
And today we bring those two things together.
Because when people connect in real life,
They don't start with big ideas.
they start with small talk.
So welcome to episode 3 of Think and Speak English, our 20-episode English learning journey.
We're still at the B1 level.
Still slow,
Still simple.
still focused on real, everyday communication.
And today's episode is called Small Talk in Everyday Life.
Now, before we go any further, I want to say something to anyone who is joining us for the first time. Welcome. You don't need to have listened to the earlier episodes to enjoy this one. We'll explain everything as we go. But if you do go back and listen to episodes 1 and 2 after this, you'll find that everything connects beautifully.
That's right. This series is designed to build step by step, like climbing a gentle staircase. Each episode adds something new, but each one also stands on its own.
So wherever you're starting, you're in the right place. Let's begin.
Let's be honest.
Many English learners don't like small talk
It can feel boring
or useless.
or stressful.
And I think there are some very real reasons for that. So let's talk about them openly. Because understanding the difficulty is the first step toward making it easier.
The first reason small talk feels hard is that it seems pointless. In your first language, you might think, why are we talking about the weather? Why are we talking about what we had for lunch? This conversation means nothing.
And from one perspective, that's true. The content of small talk is often not important. Nobody really needs to know what you ate for breakfast or whether you think it's going to rain.
But here's the thing. Small talk is not about the content. It's about the connection. When you say, nice weather today, isn't it? You're not really asking about the weather. You're saying, I see you, I'm friendly, I'm open to talking.
And the other person's response, whether it's yes, it's lovely, or I know finally some sunshine, is also not about the weather. It's them saying, I see you too. I'm friendly too. I'm open to this.
So small talk is really a kind of social handshake. It's how humans check in with each other before deciding whether to go deeper.
And in English-speaking cultures, this social handshake is really important. Skipping small talk and jumping straight into a serious topic can feel abrupt or even rude. It's like walking into someone's house without knocking.
The second reason small talk feels hard is the language pressure. In your first language, small talk is effortless. You don't think about grammar or vocabulary, words just flow, but in English, even a simple question like, how's your day going, can feel like a test.
You start worrying, did I pronounce that correctly? Should I say, how's your day going, or how is your day going? What if they answer, and I don't understand? And suddenly, a simple moment becomes stressful.
The third reason is cultural. In some cultures, talking to strangers or making casual conversation with acquaintances is not common. If you come from a culture where people are more reserved, small talk in English can feel unnatural or even invasive.
And that's completely understandable. We're not asking you to change who you are. We're just helping you understand the role that small talk plays in English-speaking environments so that when you encounter it, you feel prepared.
And the fourth reason, which I think is the biggest one, is fear. Fear of saying the wrong thing, fear of not understanding the response, fear of that awkward silence we talked about in episode 1.
But here's what we want you to know. Small talk is forgiving. It's the most forgiving kind of conversation there is because the expectations are low. Nobody expects brilliance in small talk. They just expect friendliness.
If you smile and say, "Nice day, isn't it?" nobody is going to judge your grammar. They're just going to think, "What a friendly person."
And that's all you need. Friendliness. The rest we can practice together.
So let's define small talk more clearly. What is it exactly?
Small talk is light, casual conversation about everyday topics. It's the conversation you have before the real conversation starts, or sometimes it is the whole conversation.
You have small talk with your neighbor in the hallway, with a colleague in the kitchen at work, with a cashier at the store, with someone sitting next to you on a bus, with a friend's friend at a party.
And the topics are usually simple: the weather, your weekend, food, work, but just the surface level, travel, local events, something you both can see or experience right now.
Small talk is not deep. That's the whole point. It's light, it's easy, it's the conversational equivalent of a warm-up before exercise. You're not running a marathon, you're just stretching.
And that's actually what makes it useful for language learners, because the topics are predictable and the language is simple. You can prepare for small talk, you can practice the phrases, you can have a few topics ready in your mind, and when the moment comes, you're not starting from zero.
Think of it like having a few songs you know how to play on guitar. You might not be a professional musician, but if someone hands you a guitar at a party, you can play those 3 songs confidently. Small talk phrases are your 3 songs.
I really like that analogy, Julia. You don't need to know 100 topics. You just need a few that you're comfortable with.
Adam, do you have a personal story about small talk that might help our listeners?
I do, actually, and it's a story about how small talk surprised me.
I love those kinds of stories. Tell us.
A few years ago, I moved to a new neighborhood, and for the first few weeks, I didn't know anyone. I'd see the same people in the hallway, at the mailbox, in the elevator, but we never talked. We'd just nod and look at our phones.
That sounds a bit lonely.
It was a little. And then one morning I was waiting for the elevator and my neighbor came out of her apartment with her dog. And without really thinking, I said, "Oh, cute dog. What's his name?"
The simplest possible small talk.
Exactly. She smiled and said, "This is Max. He's a rescue." And I said, "Oh, really? How long have you had him?" And she told me a little story about adopting Max from a shelter, and that was it. 30 seconds. Maybe 45.
And then what happened?
Well, the next time I saw her, she smiled and said, "Hey, Max says hello." And I laughed and we chatted for another minute. And then the next week she mentioned a good restaurant nearby, and a few weeks later she invited me to a neighborhood barbecue.
So one comment about a dog led to a real friendship?
It led to a real connection, yes. And that's the power of small talk. It's not about the dog. It's not about the restaurant. It's about opening a door. And once that door is open, all kinds of things can walk through it.
That's such a beautiful way to put it. Small talk opens doors.
And if I had stayed silent that morning, if I had just looked at my phone and waited for the elevator, that door would have stayed closed. I'd still be the stranger in the hallway.
So for our listeners, here's the message. You don't need to have a deep, meaningful conversation with everyone you meet. You just need to open a door, and small talk is how you do it.
One comment, one question, one smile. That's enough. Let's get practical now. What are the actual building blocks of small talk? What do you say, and when do you say it?
I think there are 4 main building blocks. The first is the opener. This is how you start the conversation. The second is the response, how you react to what the other person says. The third is the follow-up, how you keep the conversation going. And the fourth is the exit, how you end the conversation politely.
Let's go through each one.
The opener is usually a comment or a question about something shared, something you both can see, feel, or relate to. The weather is the classic example. Beautiful day, isn't it? Or something about the situation. This line is really long today, or a friendly question. Have you been here before?
The key with openers is that they should be easy for the other person to respond to. You're not asking them to think hard. You're just giving them a chance to say something back.
Busy day is a great opener at work. How's your morning going? Is warm and simple. I love your jacket. Where did you get it? Is a compliment opener that works well with people you don't know.
And here's something important. The opener doesn't have to be clever or original. In fact, the more ordinary it is, the better. Because ordinary openers feel safe. They don't put pressure on the other person.
The second building block is the response. When someone says something to you, how do you respond?
The most important thing is to show that you heard them and that you're engaged. A simple reaction followed by a small addition.
For example, if someone says, nice weather today, you could say, I know, it's so nice to finally see some sunshine. You've agreed and you've added a small personal touch.
Or if someone asks, busy day, you could say, yeah, it's been nonstop. How about you? You've answered and you've bounced the conversation back to them.
That bouncing back is really important. It keeps the conversation balanced. You answer and then you ask, you share, and then you listen.
The third building block is the follow-up. This is what keeps the conversation alive after the first exchange. And it's usually a question, a comment, or a small story.
For example, if someone mentions they went to a concert last weekend, you could say, oh, who did you see? Or, I love concerts. I haven't been to one in ages either. Response keeps things moving naturally.
And the fourth building block is the exit. This is how you end a small talk conversation gracefully, without it feeling awkward.
Good exit phrases include, well, it was nice chatting with you. I should get going, but enjoy the rest of your day. Great talking to you. See you around.
Exits are important because they give the conversation a clean ending. Without an exit, people sometimes just trail off and walk away, which can feel strange.
A good exit leaves the other person with a positive feeling. It says, I enjoyed this, and I'd be happy to talk again.
So the four building blocks, opener, response, follow-up, exit. If you can do those four things, you can handle any small talk situation.
Let's practice with some realistic scenarios. I find that hearing small talk in action is much more useful than just talking about it in theory.
Agreed. Let's start with a simple one. You're at a coffee shop, waiting for your order. Someone is standing next to you, also waiting.
And you decide to open a small conversation. You might say, they're really busy today, aren't they?
Yeah, I've never seen it this crowded. Must be the new menu.
Oh, have you tried anything new? I'm still trying to decide.
I got the iced lemon thing. It's actually pretty good.
Oh, really? Maybe I'll try that next time. I always end up getting the same thing.
Huh? Same here. Creatures of habit, right?
Totally. Well, enjoy your drink.
You too. Have a good one.
And that's it. That whole conversation took maybe 45 seconds. It was light, it was friendly, nobody learned anything important, but both people walked away feeling a little bit better.
And notice the pattern. The opener was about the shared situation, how busy the coffee shop was. The follow-up was about the menu, and the exit was warm and natural.
No deep topics, no complicated grammar. just two humans being friendly.
And here's something I want our listeners to notice. Both people contributed. It wasn't one person talking and the other person listening. It was a back and forth exchange. Each person added a little something, asked a little something, and shared a little something.
That balance is what makes small talk feel comfortable. If only one person is talking, it feels like a performance. If both people are contributing, it feels like a connection.
Let's try another one. This time you're at work. It's Monday morning. You walk into the kitchen to make coffee, and a colleague is already there.
Morning, how was your weekend?
Hey, it was really nice, actually. I went hiking on Saturday.
Oh, that sounds great. Where did you go?
Just a trail about an hour outside the city. Nothing fancy, but the views were amazing.
I love hiking, but I haven't been in ages. I keep saying I'll go and then I never do.
You should come next time. We go almost every weekend.
Really? I might take you up on that. All right, better get to my desk. Have a good Monday.
You too. See you later.
Again, a simple, natural exchange. And notice something interesting here. The conversation naturally led to a potential plan. You should come next time. That's how small talk can create opportunities. It started with how is your weekend, and it ended with a possible hiking trip together.
You didn't plan that. It just happened organically because you were both being open and friendly. That's the magic of small talk. You never know where it might lead.
And for our listeners, don't worry about where the conversation goes. You can't plan it, and you don't need to. Just be present, respond naturally, and let it unfold.
One thing I want to highlight from this scenario is the phrase, I keep saying I'll go and then I never do. That's such a relatable thing to say. It's honest, it's a little funny, and it instantly makes the other person feel connected to you because they probably do the same thing.
Sharing small, relatable truths about yourself is one of the best small talk techniques. You don't need to share anything deep or personal, just little things that make you human.
I always burn my toast. I can never remember where I parked. I keep meaning to read more, but I just end up watching TV. These tiny confessions are charming, and they make people feel like you're approachable.
Because perfection is not approachable, but honesty is.
Let's do one more scenario. This one is a bit more challenging. You're at a social event, maybe a friend's birthday party, or a community gathering, and you're standing near someone you've never met.
This is the situation that makes most people nervous because with a colleague or a neighbor, you at least have some shared context. But with a complete stranger, where do you even start?
The answer is simpler than you think. You start with the thing you have in common, which is the event itself.
Hi, how do you know Sarah if it's a birthday party, or have you been to one of these events before if it's a community gathering, or simply, hi, I'm Julia, I don't think we've met.
Any of those will work, and the other person will almost always respond warmly because they're probably feeling the same nervousness you are.
Let's try it. Hi, I'm Julia. Are you a friend of Sarah's?
Hey, I'm Adam. Yeah, we work together. How about you?
Oh, we used to be neighbors, actually. She's one of the nicest people I know.
She really is. Have you been to her place before? The garden is amazing.
I know, she's got such a green thumb. I can barely keep a plant alive.
Ha, same. I think I've killed every plant I've ever owned.
Maybe we should ask Sarah for lessons.
Honestly, I think some of us are just meant to buy flowers from the shop and not grow them ourselves.
That's probably the wisest thing I've heard all night. Well, it's nice to meet you, Adam. I'm going to grab some food, but maybe I'll see you later.
Definitely. Nice meeting you too, Julia.
And there you go, a complete small talk conversation with a stranger. It started with the connection to Sarah, moved to the garden, shifted to a shared joke about killing plants, and ended with a warm exit.
And the whole thing felt natural and easy. No forced topics, no awkward pauses, just two people finding things in common and enjoying a moment together.
The secret? Curiosity and willingness. Be curious about the other person and be willing to share little things about yourself. That's really all it takes.
Let's put together a collection of key phrases that our listeners can practice and use in real life.
Great idea. Let's organize them by category.
First openers, these are phrases you use to start a conversation. How's your day going? Busy day? Nice weather today, isn't it? Have you been here before? How do you know? With the host's name. I love your jacket, bag, shoes. Where did you get it?
Second, responses and reactions. These are phrases you use when someone says something to you. Oh, really? That sounds nice. I know what you mean. Me too, actually. That's so interesting. I've heard that before, but I've never tried it.
Third, follow-up questions. These keep the conversation going. How was it? What was your favorite part? Would you recommend it? How long have you been doing that? Is it as good as people say?
Fourth, sharing a little about yourself. I've been meaning to try that. I actually had a similar experience. I'm the same way, honestly. That reminds me of the time I've always wanted to do that.
Fifth, keeping things balanced. How about you? What do you think? Have you ever tried? Do you have any plans for? These phrases send the conversation back to the other person so it stays balanced.
And sixth, exits. Well, it was great chatting. I should get going, but enjoy the rest of your day. It was nice meeting you. Let's catch up again soon. Have a great weekend.
If you practice even a few phrases from each category, you'll have more than enough to handle any small talk situation.
And remember, you don't need to memorize all of them. Just pick the ones that feel most natural to you, the ones that match your personality.
That's an important point. Small talk should feel like you, not like someone else. Choose phrases that feel comfortable and use them in a way that's genuine.
Adam, I want to spend some time on questions because I think they're the most important tool in small talk.
I completely agree. If you only learn one skill from this episode, learn to ask good questions, because a good question can carry an entire conversation.
So what makes a question good for small talk?
A good small talk question is open enough to give the other person room to answer, but specific enough to give them direction.
For example, how was your weekend? Is a great question. It's open because the person can talk about anything they did, but it's specific enough that they know what you're asking about.
Compare that to what's up, which is so open that many people don't know how to answer it. Or did you go to the store on Saturday, which is so specific that the answer is just yes or no.
The sweet spot is in the middle. What did you get up to this weekend? How's the new job going? Have you tried any good restaurants lately? These questions give the other person room to share.
And here's another tip. The best small talk questions often start with how or what. How was your trip? What have you been up to? How are you finding the new office? These naturally lead to longer, more interesting answers.
Yes or no questions like did you have a good weekend can work, but they often get short answers. Yes, it was nice, and then you have to think of another question.
But what did you do this weekend invites a story, and stories are what make conversations come alive.
Another important thing about questions is timing. Don't ask 3 questions in a row without sharing something yourself. If you just keep asking, it starts to feel like an interview.
The pattern should be question, listen, react, share something small, then maybe another question. That back and forth rhythm is what makes conversation feel natural.
And when you ask a question, really listen to the answer. Don't just wait for your turn to speak. Actually absorb what the other person is telling you, because the best follow-up questions come from genuine listening.
If someone says, I went to a concert this weekend, and you ask what kind of music, that shows you were listening. But if you say, oh, I love concerts. Anyway, have you seen the new movie? That shows you weren't really listening at all. You were just waiting for a chance to change the topic.
People can feel the difference, and when they feel genuinely listened to, they want to keep talking to you. That's the foundation of all good conversation, not just small talk.
Julia, let's talk about what happens when small talk stalls, because it will happen. Even with all the right phrases and all the right intentions, sometimes the conversation just stops.
And that's completely normal. It doesn't mean you did something wrong. It just means the conversation reached a natural pause.
And from episode 1, we know that pauses are okay. But if you want to restart the conversation, you have tools.
The first tool, which we learned in episode 1, is the restart phrase. So, by the way, oh, I meant to ask you, that reminds me.
The second tool is to comment on your surroundings. Look around. What do you see? What's happening nearby? Oh, look at that. They're setting up a stage over there. This music is really good, isn't it? I think it's starting to rain.
The third tool is to ask a simple, universal question. So, any plans for the weekend? Have you been watching anything good on TV lately? Read any good books recently? These questions work in almost any situation because they're about everyday life.
And the fourth tool, sometimes the best thing to do is just end the conversation gracefully. Not every small talk exchange needs to last 5 minutes. Sometimes 30 seconds is perfect. If the conversation has run its course, smile and say, well, it was nice chatting, have a great day, and move on.
There's no failure in a short conversation. A short, warm exchange is much better than a long, forced one.
That's such an important point. Quality over quantity. A 10-second exchange where both people smile and feel good is more successful than a 5-minute conversation where both people feel trapped.
So don't put pressure on yourself to keep every conversation going forever. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself and for the other person is to let it end at the right moment. Let's talk specifically about small talk at work, because this is where many of our listeners will use it the most.
Work small talk is interesting because it has its own rules. It's friendly, but it's also professional. You need to be warm, but you also need to be appropriate.
The safest topics for work small talk are weekends, holidays, the weather, food in the kitchen or cafeteria, shared projects at a surface level, and general things like commuting or local events.
Topics to avoid in work small talk, at least until you know someone well, are salary, personal relationship problems, politics, religion, and gossip about other colleagues.
That might seem like a lot of restrictions, but actually there's still plenty to talk about. How was your weekend alone can fuel months of Monday morning conversations.
Let me give some examples of good work small talk. Morning. Did you have a good weekend? Hey, have you tried the new coffee machine? It's actually not bad. Happy Friday. Any plans for tonight?
Oh, you're eating something that smells amazing. What is it? How's the project going, keeping you busy? Did you see the email about the company picnic? Are you going?
All of these are safe, friendly, and easy. They show that you're approachable and that you care about your colleagues as people, not just as coworkers.
And that matters more than you might think. People who make small talk at work are generally seen as more likable and more collaborative. You don't need to be the most social person in the office. You just need to show warmth.
Even a brief, hey, how's it going, as you pass someone in the hallway can make a difference. It takes 2 seconds and it says, I see you. You matter.
And over time, those small moments add up. They build relationships, they create trust, and when you eventually need help with something or when there's a difficult situation, those relationships make everything easier.
Small talk at work is not wasted time. It's an investment in your professional relationships.
Adam, I think we should talk about cultural differences in small talk because our listeners come from all over the world, and what feels normal in one culture can feel very strange in another.
That's such an important topic. In some cultures, talking to strangers is completely normal. You chat with the person next to you on the bus. You make jokes with the cashier. You ask your taxi driver about their day.
But in other cultures, talking to strangers is unusual or even uncomfortable. People keep to themselves in public spaces, and conversations are reserved for people you already know.
If you come from a more reserved culture, small talk in English might feel unnatural at first, and that's okay. You're not doing anything wrong by feeling that way. You're just adapting to a different communication style.
An adaptation doesn't mean changing who you are. It means adding a new tool to your collection. You can still be reserved in your personal life, but when you're in an English-speaking environment, having the ability to make small talk gives you an advantage.
Another cultural difference is about topics. In some cultures, asking about someone's family is normal and expected in small talk, but in many English-speaking environments, family questions can feel too personal with someone you don't know well.
Similarly, in some cultures, commenting on someone's appearance, "You look tired," or "You've gained weight," is seen as showing care, but in English-speaking contexts, those comments can feel rude or intrusive.
So, when in doubt, stick to the safe topics. Weather, weekends, food, general plans, the current situation. These work across almost all English-speaking contexts.
And pay attention to cues from the other person. If they seem happy to chat, keep going. If they give short answers and don't ask questions back, they might not be in the mood for small talk, and that's fine. Not every moment is a small talk moment.
Reading those cues is a skill that develops with time. The more small talk you practice, the better you'll become at sensing when someone is open to it and when they'd rather be left alone.
And that sensitivity, the ability to read the situation and adjust, is actually one of the most valuable communication skills you can have in any language.
Let's go through some common mistakes that people make with small talk, so our listeners can avoid them.
The first mistake is going too deep too fast. Small talk is supposed to be light. If someone says, "How's your day?" and you respond with a 10-minute story about your financial problems, the other person will feel overwhelmed.
Keep it light at the beginning. You can go deeper later once you've established a comfortable connection, but the first few exchanges should be easy and breezy.
The second mistake is only talking about yourself. Small talk is a two-way exchange. If you tell a long story about your weekend and never ask the other person about theirs, it becomes a monologue, not a conversation.
Always bounce the conversation back. How about you? What about your weekend? Have you tried anything like that? These simple phrases keep the balance.
The third mistake is giving one-word answers. If someone asks, "How was your weekend?" and you say, "Good," the conversation dies. We talked about this in episode 1, but it's worth repeating. Add a small detail. "It was nice. I went for a long walk on Saturday and the weather was perfect."
One-word answers send the message, "I don't want to talk." If that's actually true, that's fine. But if you do want to connect, give the other person something to work with.
The fourth mistake is asking personal questions too soon. With someone you've just met, questions about their salary, their relationship status, their health, or their age can feel invasive. Stick to general, friendly topics until you know the person better.
The fifth mistake is not making eye contact or not smiling. We talked about body language in episode 1, and it applies here too. If you're looking at your phone while making small talk, or if your face is completely expressionless, the other person won't feel welcome.
Eye contact, a smile, and a warm tone of voice can make even the simplest words feel like a genuine connection.
And the 6th mistake is apologizing too much. Some learners start every small talk attempt with, "Sorry, my English is not very good." While it's okay to mention this once, saying it repeatedly actually makes the conversation harder, because the other person doesn't know whether to focus on the conversation or on reassuring you about your.
Just speak, do your best, and trust that the other person will appreciate your effort.
Julia, let's give our listeners some ideas for practicing at home, because small talk, like any skill, gets better with repetition.
The first idea is what I call mirror small talk. Stand in front of a mirror and practice starting a conversation. Say, "Hey, how's it going?" And then answer yourself, "It's going well. I had a great morning." It feels silly at first, but it gets your mouth used to the phrases.
The second idea is to listen for small talk in English media. When you watch a TV show or a movie, pay attention to the casual conversations at the beginning of scenes. How do characters greet each other? What do they talk about before the main action starts? Those moments are small talk in action.
The third idea is to practice with our scenarios. Go back and listen to the coffee shop scene, the work kitchen scene, and the party scene. Pause after each line and try saying the response yourself out loud. This kind of active listening is incredibly effective.
The fourth idea is to keep a small talk notebook. Write down 3 topics you feel comfortable talking about and 3 questions you could ask someone. Keep this list in your phone. Before any social event, glance at it. Just knowing it's there will make you feel more prepared.
And the fifth idea is to try real small talk, even just once this week. It doesn't have to be a long conversation. Just one comment to a stranger, a neighbor, or a colleague. "Nice day today. I love your scarf. Busy morning, huh?" One sentence. That's your homework.
And when you do it, notice how the other person responds. Most likely they'll smile and say something back, and you'll realize, oh, that wasn't so hard.
That first success, no matter how small, builds confidence for the next one, and the next one, and the one after that. Before we start wrapping up, I want to come back to something we touched on at the beginning. The idea that small talk is pointless.
Because we said earlier that the content of small talk is not important, and that's true, but the purpose of small talk is very important.
Small talk is how we build community. It's how we turn strangers into acquaintances and acquaintances into friends. It's how we create a feeling of belonging wherever we go.
When you make small talk with your barista, your neighbor, your colleague, you're creating tiny threads of connection. And over time, those threads weave together into a fabric of community that supports you.
People who make small talk regularly report feeling less lonely, more connected, and more at home in their environment. And that's true whether you're in your home country or living abroad.
For language learners, especially small talk can be a lifeline because it gives you a way to practice English in low-pressure situations, and it helps you feel like you belong in an English-speaking world.
Every time you exchange a few friendly words with someone, you're not just practicing English, you're planting a seed, and seeds grow into things you can't predict.
That conversation with my neighbor about her dog, it grew into a friendship. Your conversation with a colleague about the weekend, it might grow into a career opportunity. You never know.
So don't dismiss small talk. It might seem small, but its effects can be enormous. As we come to the end of this episode, let's slow down again.
No rush.
Today we talked about small talk.
But really, we talked about courage.
The courage to say something simple.
The courage to speak first.
The courage to be a little uncomfortable.
You don't need perfect sentences.
You don't need clever topics.
You don't need confidence.
Confidence comes later.
Connection comes first.
Think about what you've learned so far.
Silence is okay.
Feelings can be simple.
Small talk builds connection.
These are not language tricks.
They are human skills.
Let's go through what we covered today. We started by talking about why small talk feels hard, the fear, the language pressure, the cultural differences, and how the content feels pointless. But we learned that the purpose of small talk is not content, it's connection.
We define small talk as light, casual conversation about everyday topics. And we described it as a social handshake, a way of saying, I see you. I'm friendly. I'm open.
We heard Adam's story about his neighbor and her dog, and how one simple comment opened the door to a real friendship.
We learned the 4 building blocks of small talk: openers, responses, follow-ups, and exits, and we practiced phrases for each one.
We walked through 3 realistic scenarios at a coffee shop, with a colleague on Monday morning, and with a stranger at a social event.
We explored the art of asking good questions, especially open-ended ones that start with how and what.
We talked about what to do when small talk stalls, and we reminded ourselves that it's okay to let a short conversation end gracefully.
We discussed small talk at work, cultural differences, and common mistakes like going too deep too fast, giving one-word answers, and asking personal questions too soon.
And we shared ideas for practicing at home, including mirror small talk, listening for small talk in media, and the challenge of trying one real small talk exchange this week.
That's a lot of ground for one episode, and you don't need to remember all of it. Just pick one thing, one phrase, one idea, one small act of courage.
And try it this week in real life.
In our next episode, we'll take another step forward.
Because once people are listening,
once they feel comfortable with you,
you can start telling stories.
Episode 4 is called Storytelling That People Want to Listen to.
We'll talk about how to tell simple stories, how to keep people interested, and how to sound natural, not rehearsed.
No acting.
No pressure.
Just real stories from real life.
If this episode helped you see small talk differently,
or helped you feel less pressure about starting conversations,
you can support this series by liking this episode,
sharing it with another English learner,
and subscribing so you can continue this journey with us.
Thank you for listening today.
Thank you for being patient with yourself.
Remember, English is not about impressing people.
It's about connecting with them.
Thank you again for spending this time with us.
Take care of yourself.
Practice a little small talk.
And we'll talk to you again next time.
Bye for now.
Bye.